Regret doesn't come from failure. That's the part no one really tells you. Failure is obvious. It happens in front of people, it bruises your ego, maybe shakes your confidence for a while, but eventually it settles. You adjust, you learn, you move on. Regret doesn't work like that. Regret is quieter. It doesn't arrive all at once. It builds slowly, in moments that seem small at the time. Moments where you paused, hesitated, and then did nothing. You've lived those moments. When you had something to say but swallowed it. When you wanted to try but told yourself, not yet. When everything in you leaned forward and you pulled yourself back. Nothing dramatic happens in those seconds. No one notices. Life keeps moving, but something shifts inside you because deep down, you know the difference between being unable and being unwilling, and that difference stays with you. What makes regret heavy isn't the memory of a bad outcome. It's the absence of any outcome at all. No clarity, no closure, just an unfinished moment that keeps replaying in different forms. You don't replay failure the same way. Failure has an ending. It gives you something real to hold on to, even if it didn't go your way. But the moments you avoid, they don't end. They stretch. They echo. You revisit them at random times, late at night, in quiet spaces, in conversations that almost sound familiar. And each time, they feel slightly heavier, because now you see what you couldn't see before. The opportunity, the honesty you held back, the version of you that almost stepped forward, but didn't. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people try to avoid. Regret isn't about making the wrong move. It's about not making a move at all. It's not the risk that leaves a mark. It's the restraint. And what's strange is how reasonable that restraint feels in the moment. You tell yourself you're being careful, thoughtful, patient. But often, you're just protecting yourself from discomfort, from rejection, from the possibility of being seen and not accepted. So you wait. You wait for better timing, for more confidence, for a sign that guarantees things will work out. But life doesn't give guarantees like that. And while you're waiting, moments expire, quietly, permanently. Let this sink in for a second. You don't reduce regret by making perfect decisions. You reduce it by being present enough to respond when something real appears in your life, even if you get it wrong, because at least then you were there, fully, honestly. There's a certain peace that comes from knowing you showed up, even if things didn't unfold the way you hoped. But there's a different feeling entirely when you realize you weren't really there at all, that you held back, filtered yourself, stayed safe when something in you wanted more. That's the feeling that lingers. Over time, it doesn't just stay tied to one moment. It shapes how you see yourself. You start to hesitate more, doubt more, shrink a little without noticing. Not because you failed, but because you trained yourself to step away when it mattered. And the longer that pattern continues, the more it feels like that's just who you are. But it isn't. It's just a habit of avoidance that feels familiar. And habits can change the moment you decide to interrupt them. Not with something dramatic, with something honest. You say what you've been holding back. You take a step without overthinking the entire path. You act before your mind has time to talk you out of it. Not because you're certain, but because you're tired of wondering. That shift is small on the outside, but internally, it changes everything. Because every time you choose action over hesitation, you reclaim a piece of yourself that would have otherwise been left behind. And slowly, the weight of what if starts to fade. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop abandoning your own moments. At some point, you realize something simple but grounding. The goal was never to avoid failure. It was to be present enough in your own life that nothing meaningful passes through you unnoticed. So when something stirs inside you next time, an idea, a feeling, an urge to speak or move, pay attention to it. That's not random. That's a moment asking for you. And the real loss isn't getting it wrong. It's pretending you never felt it at all.